Hey, John.
We're going to talk about conferences today.
Conferences.
We're recording this in September, but it'll come out October, I guess.
Yeah.
Conferences will be
Tons of time.
underway.
Yep. So, talking about conferences, we're going to a few.
ProLine.
ProLine is going to be at RoofCon, IRE, and Win the Storm. At least. We may be at other ones too, but those are the ones we're for sure at so far. Which ones are you going to, John?
All three of those. I've been to the Roofing Process Conference. I actually may go to it anyway, depending on my wife has a thing she has to do that week. I may just try to go for one day because it is a really cool Lance Bachman bought Roofing Process Conference. It's seems to be really well done. It's also a really cool venue. I'd like to go there. Marco Island in Florida. But I've been to that one 4 years, I believe. And it has been the most impactful for me from a main stage speaker, breakout session, VIP speaking stuff. Like just different breakout groups have been really, really helpful. And then obviously vendors have been really, really good there. They're vetted really well. And then just meeting people there. I'm not like a super social person. I don't love to go to the Eagle View after party with a million drones, but I do think that I've made meaningful relationships that have been helpful, mutually beneficial to my business and this mentality. I mean, any of these conferences can be like that. If you've heard me on the Roofer Show podcast, sorry, not sorry. I'll say it again. If you think that the conferences are a cash grab, you may be right. However, I think the people who believe that don't go to those conferences with intent or have never been to a conference. I think, first of all, if they've never been to a conference, you don't have an opinion. But if you've been to a conference and you think it's a waste of time, I think that you can get 2 to 5 really significant little nuggets that can actually really move the needle, change your business, change your mentality, give you a tool, a process, something that can make your roofing business make more money and give you more free time. I believe that's true at almost every single conference, especially the ones that we're listing right now. You can benefit your life and your business.
How do you go about finding those nuggets? How do you approach conferences to find those?
All right, so we mentioned this last year at the Roofing Process Conference when we filmed it. Here's a quick tip. Go to the vendor area when it's not the vendor time. Like if you can break out of like a main stage speaker that you may not be connecting with, just leave the room really quick and go to the vendor area. And before you even go to the conference, have a list of things that you think you may, like write them down. I have these little black notebooks that I write all these like problems I have in my business. I want to find solutions, and maybe I'll find them at the conference or maybe not, but I go to the vendor section outside of those times so I can have meaningful conversations with the people who are at those booths. That's one thing. Number 2, you're not really going to know what you don't know with the main stage speakers. There may just be something inspirational, but at least write notes. I know no one this is our school, people. Like, there's no school to be a roofing business owner. This is how you should treat it. I was a bad student in traditional school, so I'm like, if I'm gonna own a business like this, I want to use these times as like educational things that I actually write down things and actually sign up for demos. If there's some sort of like a discovery call for something, it doesn't have to be software. It can be anything. It can be like a sales training thing. Just write those things down that are meaningful to you and actually do the thing. So another trick that I do, because I don't like to go out in the evenings late, I'll come back to the room before dinner or after dinner, and I will take my little goodie bag and I'll dump it all out with all the cards that I got from vendors. And then I'll sign up for those appointments. So if they're like scheduling demos for X, Y, or Z, if I'm going to test 3 CRMs, I'm going to schedule demos that day because you're just not going to remember everything that you see. It's too much stuff. It's like drinking out of a fire hydrant. So if you go every night and you schedule the demos for the following week, you have those things scheduled on your calendar, and then you're going to actually do the things. Like, you may not sign up with everybody, but at least you're going to say, okay, I'm at this conference. I think this could be helpful. I'm scheduling this demo. I'm going to do this demo next week. And be reasonable. Don't do it on Monday. Do it like on Tuesday or Wednesday. So, because you're going to put out fires on Monday. So those are just some of the things that I have done in the past that have actually made a really big impact. Getting swag is great. Saying hey to industry leaders is fine. Super inspirational speakers I still follow to this day that have actually made an impact for my business. That's true, but does it actually make a difference in your business? I think those two things is going to the vendor time when it's not the main time, and then signing up for whatever discovery meeting they have every night. If it's a 2-night, 3-night thing, just don't come home and do it, because don't drive home, fly home. It's not going to happen. You're just not going to do it. Or you're not going to sign up for all of them because life will get in the way and you just won't do it. So take the time as you go to these conferences to really be intentional. Write it down, take notes, get the business cards of things. It could be apparel, things you just want to have better apparel. It could be equipment that you want to buy, anything. Just, you have to be intentional and find out actual solutions to the problems you may have.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. The intentionality makes a ton of sense. I think that's super important. And I think sometimes, though, it's hard to do that if you're going to your first conference. I think that might be easier like the second or third time once you get kind of a lay of the land.
Well, my first conference I ever went to, I think, was IRE. And that was that was even more of a fire hydrant. It's so much, because it's the biggest one. It's got the most stuff there. Like, it's so overwhelming. But when I went to Roofing Process Conference, I was like so driven to I was a really small, young company. I was like, I just spent all this money, travel, hotel, ticket, whatever. I'm going to make this be meaningful. I'm going to make it. I'm not just, I don't really, my wife and kids are at home. They're like, why are you going to this thing? I need to have a reason why I went. And even if you don't have that kind of situation, you need to go for a reason. Certainly don't go for a vacation. Like, that's not the ticket. Go on another vacation for vacation. Use this as an actual just like, that's how it should be treated. That's how you'll really make differences in your life. You'll see the next year you go to the same conference, you're like, I have done okay, here's a good example. All right, so main stage speaker, Roof Tiger. I always forget his name. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. He's on stage talking about branding, and he's got the business Roof Tiger, and he's like, stay away from the Triangle Club. And everybody's got triangles in their logos, and they're all red, black, white, navy blue. That's like the main 4 colors. And guess what? My initial logo had a freaking triangle, and it was navy blue and white. So I was like, I got to be different. Everybody else in my whole market's like that. So that's how Peach Roofing came. It has no triangles in the logo. It's a stinking peach. It has different variations of peach colors and light green. This is what it is.
Yep. I love it. Well, it's such a great memorable brand, especially for here in Georgia.
Sunday, somebody's like, what is that shirt? I was like, oh, and you've got to be like that. Like, that's an example of, I took freaking notes and I did the thing. Like, and so the next year, which is this year, I will have rebranded. I did what I said I was going to do. I'm going to take what he said, and I'm going to rebrand it to something that's not the Triangle Club. I'm going to stand out from my competition, and it absolutely benefited me in my business. Like, not even close. So I can hire more people, because the people are like, this is not Delaria Roofing. It's not. I can buy into a brand that's not a family name.
Yep.
I also see that they're trying to be different. Like, so it's way easier to hire production crews, salespeople, administration. It's so many ways it's better. So that's just one example of like a conference
that got a nugget for you.
Yep.
That then you were able to take action on.
Yep.
That makes sense. What do you think about bringing? So I think there's kind of 3 choices for contractors. You either go by yourself You bring your team with you. So go at a big group, or you bring your team and you bring your family, and you do a massive group. Between those three, which one do you think is the most impactful? If an owner, contractor is trying to get the most out of the conference.
So those are three great options and three really good observations too, because you'll see all three. I've only gone alone. Cameron has come, to one of them, and it just depends on your company. Like, I think it's valuable as an owner for your team to see this and to actually, there is a good, like, it's not really tangible. It's non-tangible, but it's like, oh, this is the energy of like professional roofing companies. So if you surround yourself with other professional roofing companies, you're like, oh, well, they're doing this. And there'll be small things that like Cameron will bring up, or just people in general when they bring their team, like, oh, we're not alone. There are other companies out there that are trying to be professional like us. So we need to rise above all the other roofing companies in our market. So I think bringing your team is better. It does cost money. I mean, you got to buy tickets, you got to buy more hotel rooms. It's expensive to do that. But I do think that there's a positive impact if you can afford it. Bring your family is a whole nother thing. I think it depends on where. I would bring my family to I would spend more money and stay longer probably after the conference. If we were going to go, it'd have to be something that, my wife and I would want to do. It would make sense. I think that's just as fine. As long as that's one thing that the Roofing Process Conference probably has advantage over the other ones right now, is that it does have a really great resort that you can bring your family, and it will not affect everything I've been talking about before. The intentionality of like being, this is, hey honey, I'm going to be gone all day. Because that's one reason I haven't brought Elizabeth and the kids. Because I'm like, I don't think you get it. I'm not just out there playing. I'm actually very focused and intentional when I go to these conferences. So there's no like, hey, let's all have breakfast together, and that's not going to happen. Sorry, it's not. Like, I'm going to go to breakfast with all the other roofers. We're going to do that. I'm going to be in the main stage. We're going to do all those things all day. You may see me for a second at lunchtime, and then you will see me in the evening, but it's probably going to see me less than you would if I was at home. That's how you should treat it. But I think if you bring your family, like, they can come at the tail end or with you, play in the pools or whatever amenities they have, and then they get a vacation, and you can spend a couple days after that. That's fine. Yeah. But that's very good observations, because I think that would be the ultimate goal, is you bring your team and your family, because then you'll get a business benefit. I mean, you can obviously write it all off too, but
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't treat it like a vacation though. I would be like, this is just a bonus vacation.
Right. I like that point with your team of just having them around these other companies that are professional, because that's not something you can do in any other environment.
No.
I mean, obviously, if you have another company in your market that's professional, you don't want your team necessarily hanging out with them, right? So it's such a great environment because you can be around companies that are non-competitive and learn from them and learn from how they approach the work.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like, even if you did see your competitors in those conferences, it's a different feeling there, because you can,
neutral territory.
Yeah, it's neutral. You're actually, if you are a smart business owner, there is plenty of work to go around. You can talk about dominating your market all you want. If you're both there, you want that competition to be in your market too. You don't want the chuck and the trucks to be in your competition. You want only good companies, because then your homeowners' expectations are way higher.
Yeah.
For the expectation for the customer experience, for the price that you charge, because it's a fair price, it's not unreasonably low. You want those people in your market. You want them to understand all that. You want to be on the same playing field, and you want to compete fairly as far as quality and experience and pricing. So I think that's a good point as well. You can't really do that anywhere else except these conferences.
Yeah, absolutely. I like if the whole market is getting leveled up together, then you all can win. You can win, because it's the companies that are going out and not selling profitable jobs, that they're going to be out of business in a year or 2 years.
Oh, less.
Those are
I
the
watched it this year.
companies.
This year, everybody's been complaining about this year, but like, I mean, this takes 6 months, but it
Yeah.
ruins your business for 6
For
or
6
8 months
months,
because
yeah.
they're waiting to pay their suppliers. They go to another supplier. They can't pay their crews. They're like asking the homeowners for more money. There's all kinds of reasons, but yeah, totally. Because for years, I had 2 big competitors in the Athens market, and it was the best when it was just, I got you, and you.
Yep.
And why are you all working together? You're within like $200. I'm like, yeah, because we pay our crews fairly and we buy all the material essentially costs the same. So you have to choose who you know, like, and trust the most, and who you think is going to be there, who's going to stand behind their work, who's going to have the most attention to detail. That's the way it should be in all roofing markets. Is that you should be just trying to one up yourself as an owner, as a like a leader, running the quality control for your crews, like all that stuff should be just the forefront. You should never just mail it in for anyone's roof. It should all be this maximum effort so that your competition's doing the same things. The homeowner wins then, because if you're all doing that, you're all charging a premium price in their perspective, but you're all charging the same price essentially. Homeowner wins. You're profitable. You stay in business. The warranty matters. It's not a taillight warranty. Everyone wins. Homeowner wins and contractors wins when that happens.
Yep, that makes sense. And it seems like, coming back to conferences, these conferences are a good way, if you're going and your competitors are going, it's a good way to kind of level up together and all get on the same page. So, so let's kind of run through the big conferences here and what they cover. So RoofCon's coming up in a few weeks. What would you describe the focus of RoofCon?
I actually have never been to RoofCon. I know a lot of people that have been. That's one reason I'm excited to go, because I have never been. But I know a lot of contractors who I respect have been part of it for a long time. But from what I see online, if you're just high integrity, you want to do all the right things. Everything I'm just saying before, like you want to offer that really, really good customer experience. You care about the products that you install. You care about the education for your crews. You care about your whole team. That's what I see at RoofCon. Like it's a really good group of like-minded, maybe competing, non-competing roofing contractors around the country that really they care about their family. That's a huge thing. They're doing like outside stuff a lot. Hunter and like the whole team, they do like father-son retreats and things like that. So, family-oriented, high integrity, highly professional, want you to grow. They want you to scale and grow because they know that's the direction of the roofing industry. That's RoofCon from what I see right now. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really great group of people.
Nice. So that's RoofCon, and I don't think there's any other major events the rest of this year. The next one really coming up, I think, is IRE in January or February.
I actually don't know the date for that. I don't know, but I do know that they're regional things. So pay attention to those too. I think those can be really impactful. I forgot this. I actually took Elizabeth to a regional one. It was in Atlanta. No, Nashville or Atlanta. I can't remember which one. But it was like the Southeast, whatever, roofing conference. And I think Jesse Itzler spoke there. It was really good though, because it was a smaller group. All the breakout sessions were like, 50 people. It was just really meaningful. Because it was like having a really large scale, widely funded conference, but smaller. And you could, there's certain installation practices that are different all over the country. There's certain materials that are available all over the country that are different. So everything was more meaningful because of all those things about roofing and the challenges that we face. It may be labor challenges. It may, whatever it is, that was impactful. So the Southeast, I know they have a Western conference. They have like one just for Denver. They have one. I'm sure they have one for Minneapolis. So like those regional ones happen all the time. But yeah, there's no like major conference except Roofing Process and RoofCon.
All right, Roofing Process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roofing process is December.
Yeah. So yes, RoofCon's October 23rd through something, a few days there, and then roofing process is the second week of December, I believe, like the 7th or something. But anyway, those are the two for the majority of like residential roofing contractors would be part of those two conferences.
Those two. And then in the spring, IRE, and that's a little bit of a different focus there.
Yep. It's really fun to go to IRE. International Roofing Expo I've been to that one quite a few times, probably the most. You and I went to like it twice in 1 year during the COVID weird time.
Yeah. It was like back to back.
It was weird.
Like February, and then I think they did it in November.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, anyway, if you've never been to a conference, you should definitely at least go to IRE one time. You should, because a lot of the same vendors that are at these other conferences are going to be at IRE, in addition to like all the really cool stuff. Like, there's going to have a bunch of equipters in the room. They're going to have all kinds of if you're a commercial contractor, you're really going to see a lot of benefit. And then if you're like a high level residential contractor, you're going to have like every question answered if you are spending time. It's exhausting. You can walk through that whole place for 3 days and still not get enough. Like if you really invest time, it's a lot of information, but it's very good. I mean, I definitely recommend going at least one time. And then you get Win the Storm. Win the Storm's like in March. Is that right?
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah. So Win the Storm has definitely changed, though. From what my perspective, Win the Storm has had somewhat of a bad rap for years. I've never been, but they've changed, I think, mentality, ownership. A lot of things have changed. So it's a much better, just a better conference overall. So if you're really into storm restoration, Win the Storm is like the conference to go to. There's not really another conference there's some other small conferences, but I think Win the Storm is going to there's just so many tools there that are going to be helpful for you. It's going to be a lot of like how, in this year, how to deal with the upcoming storm season and stuff like that. Like it's, I hear very good things about it now, and we'll be there as well.
Yep. That one's going to be interesting. The reputation has definitely changed for the better. I heard so many good things about Win the Storm last year, and everyone's experience. And I think they are definitely still focused on storm restoration, but I think it is a little bit broader now than it was.
Yeah.
They're trying to not have it be just door to door, but more general everybody, but still a focus on doing storm and insurance related work. So
there's just think if you're watching this or listening to this, like the storm market is changing, insurance carriers are changing. So we're mainly retail, but I was an insurance agent, and so I see it happening. I mean, everyone talks about State Farm. That shift over the past 2 years has been pretty crazy, and I think conferences like Win the Storm can help you navigate that a lot better than anyone else, because they're just so focused on how to help the contractor be successful, but the homeowner have a better experience. So if you're using tools like, a lot of people are going the retail model in the storm market, like they're able to do that. So they're gonna have all the people that have. I'm excited about that one because I know there's things that I don't know. That's a perfect example of I don't know what I don't know. And we don't do a ton of storm work. It's probably 15% of our business. If it's a direct storm thing, we'll usually do the roof retail, and we'll find out later it's insurance. Customer will just tell us it's not, but we'll find out later. But just navigating that sales process is different.
Yep. Makes sense. All right. Well, I think that just about sums it up. Anything else we need to...
Conferences, 2024, 25.
Conferences.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Bye, everybody.